The best client we had, most interesting client we had was Playboy magazine. So Playboy came to us and said, we want to start a casino in Las Vegas and we want to design furniture and spaces and all kinds of accessories and things. So as the architect, I had to design a casino, which was really interesting, but I also had to design all the furniture and had to design like new slot machines. I'm sure you can imagine what the slot machines and things ended up looking like, because that was the only thing they could look like for Playboy magazine. So they did like it, but they never built it. But it was really an intense kind of project. There was no set of guidelines or restrictions in terms of thinking about design. So it was just all about fun, and yes, it was about sex, and it was about a lot of other things that sell for them and how to transform that into space. My most challenging assignment, I would have to say, is design of a hotel, which is the JW Marriott, Bangalore, which is just about to open, I think, in the next month or so. I started it in 2003, the design of the project, and actually went to the excavation in 2004 of the site, and I've been watching it grow for the last nine years. So finally seeing it done, I'm not so involved anymore in the project, but I did design the whole architecture, structure, and worked with the interior designer and landscape consultants a lot. So hospitality is so difficult because it's an extremely integrative type of design, and there are lots of agencies and lots of vendors and operators and all that need to kind of do their work. And then I designed the courtyard, also Marriott in Pune, which is one in Pune in the city center. I designed that as well. That was done a couple of years ago. That was finished. But I think hotel design is like one of the most difficult things to kind of work on. I think Amsterdam is a great city. It has everything from the infrastructure to the culture to the institution to the kind of public spaces, and also to the ethics that are required to maintain a city of that level. It's got a lot of freedom in it as well. I mean, not everything is kind of restricted. So I mean, that just shows that kind of a culture is evolved to a point where they're able to kind of control what's around them, and that leads to greater ideas of planning and development. I really do look at the colonial period, the Victorian period, as a boon for Mumbai, especially in what it's left behind. Unfortunately, we don't take care of it as well as we should, but yeah, VT is of course beautiful, and the buildings like the BMC building, I mean, they're amazing architectural value. But I also find like a lot of value in things like Crawford Market and the kind of, the craziness and the chaos of spaces like that. Banganga, I love Banganga. It's one of my favorite places in the city to actually go and visit. I don't value any necessarily modern architecture, except for some of Charles Correa's work. And of course the new contemporary architects that are working in the space, which are kind of my generation or a little bit above my generation. Some of it is happening internationally, which is great, but a lot more has to happen in our city to be able to change it, change its direction. My dream project, that's very simple, it would be my own house. It would also probably be the most difficult project that I ever work on, because I think designing for oneself is pretty challenging. And designing an interior or a house or an architecture for that, for your kind of personality, is also the most difficult thing I can imagine doing. So I think one day I will have an opportunity. I'll buy some land somewhere and I'll just build something that I've always wanted. But I think it is a dream right now. I'm sure it'll come true at some point. So. Studio X doesn't deal with necessarily design as a main focus. It looks at development, it looks at growth, it looks at trying to understand aspects of cities that are going to determine how it develops in the future. We're looking more right now at kind of interacting with different agencies and people, trying to get interesting kind of collaborations going and talking about new ideas. We're doing an event next month which is really interesting. It's on getting together 4 musical groups, which are basically going to try to capture and compose music based on spaces within the city. Studio X is more in that way, experimental. Columbia University's, the Graduate School of Architecture's vision in creating these type of spaces is that the spaces should not necessarily fall into a category that already exists. We kind of create our new category of interactive spaces. I think design is shifting towards less about symbolism, and design is really shifting towards performance and that kind of functionality that it kind of creates. I think the stepwells, Ahmedabad, that's a really well-designed monument because it's not only something that is just symbolic or something, it's actually was required to work. You should have something that's active, that's dynamic, that works, that helps, collect rainwater or generate electricity or make people exercise. I mean, those are interesting as monuments and also as something that could help people.